Yeah. Let's see how far we'll go.
Should we not wait a bit before we go live? I just thought maybe.
We're almost going. We're almost going live actually. So we're on top of it. Oh, Isa, you are upside down. What happened? Isa, you're upside down. Anyway, Dr. Mrs. Muhammed is here with us for us to do what we do best, what we know how to do best. On the moderating team is Dr. Achijev. Alan, we female these days, they don't like to put Mrs. I don't know. They say they went to one convention and said all scientists are doctor. They are not doctors. I don't know how true is that. It was Memuna that told me that. It's Memuna that told me that. Memuna told me. So we have Femi Kayode on our sport today. And we have Achijev, we have Gloria. They are on the spot today. And our personality today is the Executive Director, National Veterinary Research Institute, VOM. The first place avian influenza was diagnosed in Africa. And I believe with that kind of an antecedent, the person sitting on top of that, on the platform, on the topmost platform as executive director, must take all it takes to take all it takes. We have one of my senior sisters. I love when I see senior colleagues who are female, because they are very rare, seeing senior colleagues of myself who are female. She was the national treasurer of Nigerian Veterinary Research Institute. I can read her extempo. Sorry, she was the national treasurer, Nigerian Veterinary Medical Association. And along the line, she had the job of the treasurer and the financial secretary were congealed in one until it was pleaded right she was there. An NVMA activist, but excellent. You need to see her in our NVMA conferences when she was on SADO, in our financial affairs. You need to really see her walk like a jack. She walked like a jack. So when she was appointed executive director of our research institute in Nigeria, the only one in Nigeria, I was not surprised. And I went to bed because I know she's up to what it takes to take all it takes to be a very amiable, good, and excellent executive director in our research institute. We are expecting a lot of research bonanza from an institute. Today, again, this is the second time she's appearing on this platform, and we won't keep you at a spot. We'll continue to prod your mind. And what it takes, why are we prodding your mind? We are prodding your mind so that in between the last time and current time, what are the achieving spots? Because why we are here bringing our top class bureaucrats is so that they will guide us, they will inform us. We will think, we can't guide them, but we'll think we can guide them. And so that they can, oh, is that possible? Okay, oh, well, my mind has not stretched to that. Then they'll go back to the drawing board. She's leading a team of researchers in Nigeria. The other time we had, anyway, I don't want to go into that. We had a disease outbreak among the horses. I think they all swooped in just in front of them in Jos. And then on that note, I am calling Dr. Chioma Achijev and Gloria to take over. But on the finance scale, she's a vet, married to a vet. I don't know whether it will crop or whether it's from the school or classroom, whether it started. They were sent to school and they ended up in a home or what. Anyway, that's the hilarious, whether they were classmates. One was senior to each other. She will tell us the one. You know, Dr. Nasir married marrying the copper that was guiding him. That was, I'm telling you, that a copper that was taking him on ambulatory while he was a final year.
All right, we are live now.
We're alive. Okay.
We are live
Okay.
now. Okay. All right. Thanks for that.
Okay. Okay, Chioma.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And good morning, everybody. Good morning, and thanks for coming to another series of the Speak Out session. As you would have heard from the preambles from Dr. Charles Ibe, and we'll be having our guest for the second time on the Speak Out series, Dr. Maryam Muhammed, who is the Executive Director of the National Veterinary Research Institute's VOM in JUS. Today, I'll be co-moderating with our one and only sit-tight. She's no longer sit-tight. She's moved. Dr. Gloria Daminabo will be co-moderating today. So we hope that it will be an interesting session. It will be insightful and would have a lot of things to take home. We're just about 10 minutes past the time. So Dr. Charles Ibe has done a brief introduction. And as vets, we all know who the Executive Director is. So permit me, as I welcome Dr. Maryam Muhammed, to use the first few minutes to give us an update on what she thinks we need to know before we go into the questions and answer series. Thank you very much. Good morning, Ma, and welcome. You have the stage, Ma.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chioma. Once again, thank you to Dr. Ibe and his team for inviting NVRI to this session. We are always happy to bring updates on what is happening in the Institute and how we will continue to move research and livestock development forward. Just by way of reintroduction, NVRI is the National Laboratory for Veterinary Diagnostics in Nigeria. That means all disease outbreaks and confirmatory diagnostics end up with NVRI. We are also responsible for animal disease surveillance nationally. We're responsible as the National Zoonosis Center and also responsible for the production of animal vaccines in Nigeria. And very recently, just about a month ago, we marked the groundbreaking ceremony of a national repository for animal pathogens in NVRI. We hope that by this time next year, that laboratory will be commissioned. And that means that we will be able to archive
We lost you there, Ma.
Yeah,
I think it's network issues.
It's network issue, and
are existing in the country. So the national asset.
Sorry, Ma.
Research.
We lost you when you were talking about being able to archive the animal pathogens, Ma.
Okay. So I was just talking about the national repository that we have just had the groundbreaking ceremony last month, and I said it will enable us to archive all pathogens of animal origin. We will be able to document what is going on around the country. And in future, as we are seeing around the world, people are using those kinds of assets either for vaccine production, for genetic work, or for the production of drugs. So we think that this new development of having a national repository where we can archive all pathogens of animal origin anywhere within the territory of Nigeria is a very important development. As we proceed, I will talk about further developments, but just to quickly say that in vaccine production, we have been working on developing a bespoke FMD vaccine that is local to the serotypes available in the country. This project has gone very far with the support of the Pirbright Institute in the UK. And by the end of this year, we will be able to come up with a vaccine that can be used for the control of FMD using Nigerian serotypes, which can be used with the confidence that it will control FMD in any part of this country and even the West African sub-region. Another development is the fact that we have begun the scaling up of vaccine production. As you probably know, even the last time I was on this platform, there were a lot of complaints about the lack of availability of our vaccines, and that has been as a result of the lack of capacity. And we hope that in another 9 to 12 months, that will be a thing of the past, because we will be able to scale vaccine production and gradually meet up our national and regional demands for animal vaccines in Nigeria. I think as we move, I can talk about the others. As we also know, I just want to quickly talk about the anthrax outbreak that we had last year and the African horse sickness. Those were also anchored by NVRI. We were part of the response team. And so far, we have produced 25 million doses of the anthrax vaccine, which have been distributed and used around the country. The animal horse sickness, we quickly were able to diagnose it because we have a collaboration with the WOA International Collaborating Center in Spain. And now we are beginning to do work on actually looking at the epidemiology of African horse sickness. I think I dropped the call. I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yeah, we are hearing you, but you were down a bit. But okay, now your voice is up a bit.
Okay.
We can hear you, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
We can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think for an introduction, that would these are the items that I would like to bring up, but I'm sure questions will come up and we will try to address them. So once again, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Ma. And that's a very good introduction. It gives highlights all of the achievements of the NVRI over the past years in a very quick summary. And it's been good to see the amount of work and the progress that has gone into this thus far. Okay, so I've just told people, thank you all for joining again. For those who are just joining, on the speaker session today, we have the Executive Director of the National Veterinary Research Institute, Dr. Maryam Muhammed. She's just giving us a brief update of the achievements of the Institute in the past year. So if you do have any questions, please do feel free to use the chat function to drop your questions and we'll pick them up from there. So it's really good to see. I think I'll start off with the repository of pathogens that you're working on. I think that's a very groundbreaking achievement so far. Just want to find out how you're involving people in the academia and people in the private sector. Obviously, I know that the NVRI is a big institute, might not be able to achieve all of this on its own. And there have been a lot of research on various animal pathogens going on in the country, research group, lab groups, different organizations. How do you intend to bring all of this together? Because if we truly want to make it a national repository, it should be representative of everything that's happening across the country.
Yes, actually, thank you, Choma. I wanted a space to be able to speak about the network of laboratories which we have started. With the help of the universities, the deans and the NVRI and the Federal Department of Veterinary and Pest Control Services, we have started a network for laboratories, including the private veterinary labs. We had scheduled a meeting. Unfortunately, that didn't go through because of so many other competing demands. But I am hoping that we will be able to have this particular meeting somewhere around the NVMA conference, which will be taking place in Jos, so that we can consolidate and have meetings and agree on what needs to be done. Because of course, the repository will not work by itself. The samples have to come from all over the country because it's a national one. We have to have the buy-in of everyone involved, everyone along the value chain. We have to work out modalities or logistics of transporting samples and having them come to VOM in the form that is required. We will also have to sit down and draw up MOUs on how to annotate those pathogens and be able to attribute where they have come from, what species they were isolated from, and who did what. All that has not been worked upon, but I know that we have all agreed, the universities, the research institutes, organized, the private sector, state clinics. If we have this meeting, I think we can agree on terms. We can also agree on logistics and partnerships so that this is well established. And when we say it is a national laboratory, it actually accounts for everything that is being isolated from the field in Nigeria.
So much, Ma. That's a good one. I think I just give an example of you're also someone who's worked on salmonella, from what I know in the past. So just to give an example of kind of a database I used for my PhD, that's the Entero-based database. I think it's something similar because when we're talking about identifying the location of the strain who has uploaded that, who has done what, it just somewhat reflects that. Because I'm coming from the angle that if people know that their contributions would be valued and not put, say, under the carpet, then they'll be more willing to share those isolates. So I think is a move in the right direction, and I hope that this will see the light of day. But thank you very much and well done. So the last time we spoke, I knew that a lot of people were talking about the scarcity of some local vaccines. And during your updates, you've just told us that the NVRI has upped its production. So for things like the local vaccines that we actually need right now, do you want to also speak and expatiate on that to let us know what other vaccines have been produced and how people can access that if needed?
Okay, just to correct Chioma, it's still in the works, but what I am saying is we're scaling up because we are getting support both from a World Bank project and also from the UK government. So we are beginning to expand and to import equipment, new equipment, things like biofermenters. That will enable us scale up production. For example, if what we're producing currently is 5,000 doses of a particular vaccine per batch, where in the near future, by the beginning of 2025 in March, all our equipment would have arrived, and we expect that per batch, we should be able to do 50,000 doses per batch of vaccine. That means we are scaling up and we are able to distribute. We are also in the process of, we have just trained about 500 community animal health workers. The idea is to be able to reach the very last mile, the very last at the bottom of the pyramid. We know that our veterinarians need to work with people who can go to the very remote areas, particularly areas that are security challenged. And it is only people from those communities that can move around very easily in those areas. So this training and the fact that we have been able to resource them, we started on a small scale just to see whether this would work. And we think it is working, particularly in some of the states in the Northeast where there haven't been vaccinations for a very long time. And we tested it with Newcastle disease I2 vaccine. And we are already putting plans in place to be able to do it with the PPR eradication program, global eradication program that will be starting at the end of 2024. So we will be working and ensuring that the vaccines are equitably and evenly distributed, that people do not have to come to VOM to get whatever kinds of vaccines. So I just wanted to update that even though we are still experiencing scarcity, this will be a thing of the past by the first quarter of 2025. We would have optimized all the new equipment that is coming in, and we will scale up production, and so make vaccines available all over the country, either through private partners, veterinarians who want to be part of this distribution network, our own outstation laboratories, and the states, the veterinary authorities in the states, so that we ensure that vaccines are made available all over the country and that they get to the very last mile.
Thank you so much, Ma. You just mentioned something of importance, working with the states. Just wanted to, and there is a follow-up question there to ask how strong the regional offices are, and how you think they will be able to join you in achieving this vision. Do you think they are strong enough? They have the capacity to be able to work with you to achieve this?
Yes, so we are also updating our labs. Some of the issues that the outstation laboratories had was power. So what we have started so far is we have resourced 11 of the 23 laboratories with solar power and with deep freezers. That means we are ensuring that we maintain the cold chain. But of course, budgetary constraints are limiting our ability to do everything all at once. So we're taking it gradually. We hope that with this year's budget, we will be able to also provide the remaining laboratories with solar power. So that is the first step, making sure that the cold chain is maintained. The second thing is also making sure that once we scale production in VOM, that the vaccines are adequately distributed around the country. So our outstations are a key part of this distribution. They have to take the lead, because even the private sector, if they are not very large orders, should be able to access the vaccines through our laboratories and continue to do their work. So early days yet, but we think that we have a plan, we have a strategic plan, and that is something that is work in progress. 11 laboratories resourced with solar power. The others will also benefit in the near future. And once we scale vaccine production, we make sure that the labs are well resourced. We had 7 zonal laboratories. Now we have added Lagos. Lagos is also not just a zonal laboratory, it is a regional laboratory, because what we would like to do is to also decentralize diagnostic work. And because Lagos has experienced some upgrading, the lab will not just be distributing vaccines, but it will also, if we're able to complete the equipping of the lab, be a regional laboratory where the diagnostic work can be done without necessarily having to send samples all the way to VOM. Our plan is to have another regional laboratory somewhere in the Southeast. In that way, the samples do not have to come directly to VOM if they cannot. They will just go to the regional labs, have the initial diagnostic work done, and then the samples can now ultimately be sent to VOM for confirmatory diagnosis.
That's a good one, thank you. And Dr. Charles has just asked about your partnership with private sector for commercialization of the vaccines and labs.
Yes. Okay. So that commercialization process is in place. However, you do not want to invite private sector when you have old machines in and you're not able to scale production. So we are doing our end of the work, ensuring that we have new equipment, that we have in place a new process of scaling vaccine production. And once that is done, the private sector can come in and partner with us. We have already started doing that on the downstream. And that is, for example, having private sector veterinarians come in and order large quantities of vaccine. We produce for them to order and send it to them so that they can distribute it. Like I said, we started with the model of using the I2 vaccine, and we think it has been very well taken. The I2 vaccine for rural poultry, we started at 300,000 doses per annum. Now we are at 12 million doses per annum. And mainly it is kudos to the private sector that is absorbing it. I think Dr. Ila and Dr. Shamsuddin will not mind my mentioning them personally for being part of this project of distributing I2. And like I said, we are also going to test that with the PPR vaccine because of the global eradication. And while we're doing that at the same time with upscaling and upgrading our equipment, the more and more of the private sector and the private vets will come in as distributors because our labs cannot do it alone.
Thank you so much, Ma. And before, so my co-moderator, Gloria, would be coming in next. But before she does, NVRI at 100 is a huge milestone, Tell us about it. What are the plans? What has gone behind the scene? What are the other plans that will be coming on? Maybe you can speak to this while Gloria also comes on stage.
Okay. So we also think that 100 years is something that is worth marking. For a government institution to survive 100 years and to continue to deliver on a mandate that has been expanding, we think that we're not blowing our trumpets, but we think on this occasion we need to actually do that and say this is what NVRI has achieved. We had requested to have the first day of the NVMA conference mark this centenary with a colloquium around one of the diseases that are topical. And we have been looking at AI and developing a local vaccine for the control of avian influenza. We have also looked at AMR and what is happening in the field. We're narrowing down around those and also bringing in speakers to talk about One Health. So we are working with the NVMA. We're just putting final touches to be able to send the copy to the NVMA president to integrate NVRI into the Congress. Since January, we have marked, like I said, once we did the groundbreaking ceremony, we also integrated part of the centenary celebration, and that was where we insisted to have the groundbreaking ceremony with the partners and US DITRA, who's building the laboratory for us. We're grateful to say, okay. Next month in July, we are looking at having, sorry, not July, in September, we are looking at having ECOWAS come in with a program of training, the regional training for animal diseases will be, I hope, hosted in NVRI, so that the ECOWAS will also have a chance of celebrating with us. There's one more celebration that we are planning to have in Abuja, so that we would have more people attend, because we know that a lot of the international partners may not be able to travel to VOM at the time that we are planning to have the NVMA conference. So these are the plans that we have for each activity that will happen in NVRI throughout this year and early part of January 2025. We will be celebrating the centenary.
Well, I didn't realize I was on mute. Yeah, so congratulations once again. I see it's fully packed with activities, well-thought activities. And like you said, it's not an easy feat. And it's something worth celebrating that an institute will get to that level. Just piggybacking on what you've just mentioned about One Health, I like the idea that you're thinking towards One Health. But permit me to take you back to the cholera outbreak. Is that something NVRI is involved in? Because if we're looking at control of diseases, prevention response from a One Health approach, is this something the NVRI is involved in? And can you just speak to that a bit? Thank you.
Yes, NVRI is part of the national control and response team on the animal side. On the human side is NCDC. So we are active. We're ready to wait to receive samples because of the our resourced biosafety level 3 laboratory. However, this particular, I think we have only activated in Plateau State. The team on Plateau State has already invited us, and I think they have started work on the field. Someone is just leaving tomorrow to Abuja to have a meeting with NCDC, so that I believe, I haven't received communications yet, but I believe that the national response team will reach out to NVRI, and the focal on that on the emergency response team will join them on a meeting in Abuja very soon.
Okay, thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, it's good to see that there is some there is some effort to actually approach the outbreaks from a One Health perspective. In all of your speech, in all of what you've been saying as you've been discussing so far, you seem to have mentioned a lot of international partnerships. And can you just tell us how you've been able to achieve this? Because it does seem that there's a lot going on that a lot of people are not aware of. And then most of these things are not even on the website, but from what you have said briefly, there's just so much going on. We're collaborating with international partnership. I think it would be good. I know you don't want to blow your trumpet, but I think it would be good for people to understand and know what's happening and know that these things are achievable.
Okay, so in the last few years, we have NVRI has run actually on a grant system in addition to the national budget. So we have had a lot of international partners come in and support. We are working with WHO on mpox and looking at the interface between the human and animal interface and actually establishing the animal host. So we've gotten support also. FAO has supported us. So it's grant-based and also project-based. So for One Health, we are working with the FLI in Germany, which is the equivalent of their National Veterinary Institute. And we're working on COVID. And also, yes, we're still working on COVID. And I know some people will be surprised that COVID has stopped, but we are working on COVID, and we're working on One Health. So on that side, we work with both the FLI in Germany and also the NCDC. And a few of our staff have just come back from the field in Rivers and in Delta, where there were reported outbreaks. We are working. I've talked about FAO and WHO. Those are supports around the MPOX. We also have support around PPR, like I mentioned. We have support around African swine fever. I can see Dr. Pam joining us. He is the focal on that. There's a lot of work that we're doing on the diagnostics for African swine fever and also developing a vaccine for that. So we are working with the National Institutes for Health in the United States and a few other partners, universities, mostly in the United States. So from all over the world, we're getting support. I didn't know that this question will come up. Like I earlier mentioned in the introduction, with the work on developing a vaccine for FMD, we have been working with the Pabright Institute. We're currently working with the Pabright Institute on FMD and also on diseases in livestock markets. So all the livestock markets around us in Bauchi and Plateau, we go there to sample. We're also working with the US Department of Agriculture, also on livestock markets, particularly international markets on our borders in Sokoto, Kebbi, Adamawa, Taraba, Yobe and Borno, and Jigawa State. So far, what I can say is we have quite a number of international partners. We also have local partners. We are working on a particular project under the TED Fund. Under the TED Fund, we are working with the University of Jos Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, University of Udu Sokoto, and also with the Leather Research Institute in Zaria. This is a consortium that we have put in place that is being supported by TED Fund, so that it doesn't look like I'm not talking about the local support. We are also getting local support and we are working. We also have signed MOUs with universities, local universities. We have with the University of Abuja, University of Jos, Makurdi, Sokoto, and ABU. So there's a lot of local collaborations going on, also a lot of international support, particularly for controlling diseases that are emerging and also for zoonosis. Let me quickly say that we have just pitched in a grant application for bovine tuberculosis. We hope that we win that. If we get it, then we will start work with a UK-based research institution to look at bovine tuberculosis and also how it transmits into tuberculosis in humans. So in a nutshell, that is what we're working around. With AMR, we have a very big project coming up with the Fleming Fund from the UK. Because we are also the national reference laboratory for AMR, we have the Sentinel lab and the major lab where all samples will now come into the repository in VOM after final diagnostics. So a lot of work going on with partners from around the world.
Those are definitely a lot of work, and I'm not sure how you're able to juggle that together as an institute, but clearly you've been doing so well, and that's why this work and all the partners keep coming. So congratulations and well done on that, Ma. Yes. Just one or two more questions before I allow Dr. Charles Sibe to chime in. So there's been a lot of, in the news, there's been reports of the possibilities of the avian influenza, a new strain, or say H5N1 in the US, I'm saying that there's already beginning to be detection in some humans, in some people. I don't know how far gone that is, but the reason I mentioned this is to gauge the preparedness of the Institute for disease outbreaks like this, especially those that have global implications. Is this an area that we're thinking about as an institute, or what are the behind the scenes activities that the NVRI is doing to be able to respond rapidly to outbreaks and diseases of zoonotic diseases of this nature?
Yes, so as I mentioned, NVRI is also the designated National Zoonosis Center. And incidentally, just yesterday, the focal on avian influenza was attended a meeting in the ministry. So we're already putting in place a national response, both on the avian influenza side of the poultry side, and also looking at mapping, doing a proposal to map, especially in dairy. We think it is very important because the government has just released the national dairy policy, and if we hear that there's avian influenza in dairy in the United States, then it must be something that we should also take on board as this is going on. So we are putting up a team together to map out a plan on how we can do that. Incidentally, we have also looked at whether we should produce a bespoke vaccine for avian influenza in poultry in Nigeria, and it's one of the things that we're discussing with Federal Department of Livestock and Pest Control Services.
Thank you so much, Ma. I'll take one question from the chat. I see just one question. And again, please, if you have questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat and I'll pick them. There's one question so far. Dr. Erebioga said, "Good morning, Ma. Bravo to you for the job well done and training of the community animal health workers. My question is, how can the system manage the selling of vaccine to the common man? A herdsman will go ahead and buy vaccine in the open market. At the end of the day, the vaccine loses its strength. And my major question is, how can the system checkmate vaccine vendors in the open market?" Okay, do you want to take that, Ma?
Yes, I'll take it. I think there's a lot of confusion as to those who are selling vaccines in the open market. Those vaccines are, we keep saying it, they're fake vaccines. They're not from NVRI because we have a stricter control on how our vaccines are distributed. But the reason why that is going on is because the vaccines are not available, and that is what has informed the scaling up of production. Once we scale up production and we're able to distribute the vaccines around the country, you'll find that the fake vaccines will peter out because they will not stand the chance. We know that NVRI as a brand is well known amongst farmers, and that is why people fake vaccines and put the names of NVRI. But what we expect is for farmers to dissuade farmers from buying vaccines on the open market. So along with making sure that we produce quality vaccines, what we're trying to look at is to scale the production and scale distribution in such a way that wherever you are in this country, you can go to a place where you can get good quality vaccines and not have to buy from the open market or from on market days where people are selling concoctions in bottles and vials and claiming that they are from NVRI. So we think the main issue is just making sure that we have enough vaccines that are distributed around the country.
Okay, and that's a good point, Ma. Obviously, there is scarcity, then nature would find a way of filling in that vacuum. But on the other side, because don't you think that NVRI also have the obligation to ensure that people know, I know this might come to issues of funding, but people know where to go and to let people understand that these vaccines are not from us. Don't you think there needs to be sort of a public announcement on that or awareness around that?
Yes, we do create awareness, but Choma, it's also a security issue. There's some of the things that I cannot speak to here. specifically, but there's a lot of work that we do behind the scenes to make sure that people do not claim to be selling NVRI vaccines when they are not. And also sometimes with the help of the states and with the help of the security agencies, quite a lot is going on behind the scenes. But like you yourself have mentioned, nature abhors a vacuum. So we know that within the next 1 year, once we are able to scale production and distribute properly, then all of this faking will most likely disappear. But we are doing quite a lot of work, particularly with the security agencies, to shut down those areas that are manufacturing and making false claims around their vaccines and claiming that they are from NVRI.
Yeah, thank you, Ma. I hope that goes well for the benefit of the whole country, really, because people can't be claiming to use certain vaccines and then, and they now blame it on NVRI. Oh, there's vaccine failure, there is all of this. And yeah, okay. So Bernard Nwabweze has said, please, can we have a zonal office in Anambra State? Thank you, Ma, for the great things your team is doing.
Thank you. I read the chat and I wanted to have a chance to say that. So the process of having a laboratory in a particular state has a lot of planning behind it. And it starts with having the state government willing to donate a piece of land or a laboratory to the institute to be able to establish the lab there. We have not spoken with Anambra State, but we have just started speaking with Ebonyi, because sometimes we also have to look at the distances between the established labs and then one that is next to it. There are so many things, administrative things that come into it. But now that you have said it, we will reach out to Anambra State and see if they will be willing to partner with NVRI to establish a lab there.
Okay, thank you, Ma. You've heard it, Dr. Nwabweze. And yeah, so it's not off topic. Dr. Abdul Fattah Bashir, he said, hope this is not off topic. Is the NVRI looking to advertise jobs? And what's the plan? Should people be looking forward or?
Again, NVRI is a government institution, so we have to follow the rules. Sometimes the vacancies are given to us, and we also have to obtain waivers. There's quite a bit of work that goes behind being able to recruit now. We know what our needs are. We actually do need a lot of research and technical officers. But so we have a plan in place as long as the federal government allows us, gives us the permission to recruit. So that's what we are waiting for. We have been waiting for quite some time and nudging, but I don't think an advert will be in place. Just if you would like to work with NVRI, you send your application to VOM, to the ED's office, and we will put your name on the database and see what happens in the future. So please, if you are interested in working as a research officer, send your application. Let it be it's better to have it on the database so that when they say go, you can look at the database and say, okay, recruitment now is done around so many considerations, state of origin, even local government of origin, gender, and like I said, whether it's technical or support staff, all those things have to come into consideration. But nothing is impossible. So if you would like to work in NVRI, please send your application to the ED's office.
Thank you so much, Ma. We've heard it. If you like to work, that's an open call, a generous call. Please do send your documents to the institute. And in sending it, I think there's been a lot of mentorship sessions. It's good that you highlight what skills you can bring in and why you should be selected, not just sending a random generic CV. So something to think about for the younger vets who are looking to make an application to the Institute. Okay, thank you, Ma. We are 7 minutes down the hour, and I think it's a good, Sylvester, your question has just been answered, so I'm not going to take it. It's just similar to what has been answered. Mandrel E, the ED has spoken about collaboration with universities across the country, not just within the North, but also in the Southeast. So, and that has been answered previously. Okay, so thank you so much for the audience. I'll now hand over to Dr. Charles Sibe and Dr. Gloria if they have anything to add. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Ma.
Yeah, I think Dr. Gloria
Yes.
first before I anchor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. First of all, I would like to really say the ED has spoken very, very well. And of course, we were not expecting anything less. When we knew she was coming, we knew that we were coming to hear all about NVRI, and we were coming to be motivated. And I want to say congratulations to NVRI on their 100 years anniversary and all their achievements so far. NVRI has really made us proud as a profession, especially during the COVID era, with all the lockdown and things, all the scarcity. NVRI started producing the virus, the VTM, and all that. So a lot of things happened, and we're proud to say we were veterinarians at that time because of NVRI. So once again, I want to say a very big congratulations to NVRI. And we are really looking forward to the regional laboratories and coming to be, because now in the country, in the veterinary profession, for those of us in private practice, what we really look forward to is diagnostics. That's a major challenge. Having a good laboratory that can handle diagnosis for you. So most times we have to even use the human laboratories and you don't get good results and all that. So if we have these laboratories working in the state, I think it's going to really, really, really help the profession further. So in all, we are really, really proud of NVRI, and we are always ready to support your programs. Thank you very much, Ma. And thank you, Bluebird, for this platform.
Yeah, thank you. Not Bluebird, but Speak Out, of which you're one of. Speak Out. This is not the Bluebird one. The Bluebird one, we are going clinical these days. I don't think we're expecting less. You're doing a marvelous job. I will stress you a bit. You know, my name is Stress from the look of things, which you know. So bringing me now, you know, the direction I'm heading. The data bank, disease data bank, serotype data bank, antigenic data bank. Are we doing anything? Because we can be falsely bringing vaccine and be injecting it. And at the end of the day, it doesn't work because of strain variation. We need to fit in which vaccine is supposed to work on, the platform vaccines we're supposed to work on. Is there any way of having, or do you have any disease data bank? Some diseases like fowl cholera, because I'm a poultry veterinarian, have a lot of strain variations and antigenic differences, not even if it is mild. Parvo is raking the dogs. I'm coming down to that one later, but I'm coming down. Parvo is raking. Do we have a serotype which we know? So that when people are bringing vaccines, you know whether you are bringing the right or the type serotype. So, yeah, over to you, Ma.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Charlie. Let me start with the last one. Parvovirus, we actually have not put a team on parvovirus because in the past, it has not been on our list of priorities. And I'll tell you why. We didn't think it was as important on a scale as rabies, for instance. But now that we are getting feedback from the field, particularly from the private sector, we are looking to set up a parvovirus team. But usually, before you can put a lot of funds behind a particular thing, you have to make sure that it is very important on the scale of priorities. If you are able to send us some information, I think that will help us to say, okay, we can do some work on parvovirus. The second question on strain variation, yes, and that's why we think the national repository is very important. For the particular one that you have mentioned, we have just 2 strains, and we admit that it is time for us to look at, for example, fowl cholera and even fowl pox, and see whether the strains that we are putting in the vaccine are the same as what is on the field. But again, we have to look at the budget we have. We have to look at on a scale of priorities, what diseases will be of the most importance in putting budgets behind. And that's how some of the diseases become priorities. Once we know that there's a lot of problem on the field, we will begin to look at work and start testing. So I will pick that and see if we can get a team of young veterinarians to start looking at the strain variation, particularly for fowl cholera. For salmonella, like I said, we already have a large team working on commercial poultry and on rural poultry. In fact, we have some exciting news to share later in the year when the results are published for some of the new strains that have not been reported previously that we have found in local poultry and what we are doing about it. So it takes time to prioritize some of these diseases. It depends on how serious.
Let me help you in prioritization.
Right.
Well, the country is going through security hell right now. And then we have animal guided security right now building up. The military is now into dogs, a lot of dogs. And I think we should be resetting, not human, resetting the mindset of NVRI. It's a veterinary research institute. And when you talk about veterinary not only in livestock resources, which they are chief anchor now. You talk about the security concerns. We have Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Police Affairs now. We have vets working under that. If because of the police, because of the security concerns in the country, and we have public health, whether we like it or not, because of the advancement of humanity, based on people traveling, based on population explosion, based on global warming, and under antecedents of weather variation, we must continue to have, M-U-S-T, continue to have emerging and re-emerging diseases. And that is where the research institute should be on top of it. You're talking about COVID. You know, before, in the digital or analog phase, nobody will bring you near, but people are, the world is bringing you nearer and nearer. And then talk about wildlife tourism. A lot of animals are in the wildlife, guidedly in tourism. A lot of animals are involved. And you need to expand your research. And then when somebody is talking about employment, when you zero your mind to agriculture, it might be stereotyped. But when you expand your mind to embrace all those areas I've mentioned, we need employment explosion. So you're talking, when you talk about, okay, imagine the military importing dogs and having puppies and they're dying. And these are the puppies that will grow into dogs that will help you to fight terrorism. Because dogs are used to fight terrorism. The sniffer dogs can sniff out drugs, can sniff, and there's drug explosion now in the country, can sniff out ammunition if we're guided, can even attack armed robbers, bandits, and then these dogs are dying at primordial stage to parvo. So let us start thinking about our prioritization right now to be in norm with the current antecedents. So that's one thing. But before then, I'm just trying to reset your mind on prioritization. Now, please, NITA, you're coming to capture NITA. You have captured NITA. under Orasanya report. You've captured NITA. So what is NITA going to be from the Ministry of Science and Technology now to agriculture? That is where your institution is subsumed. What do you think is the way forward?
Okay, let me just cycle back to your first contribution. I think I forgot to mention that we also have a wildlife team, and we have a few people doing their PhDs, and we're working. We have a team working with the I think it's called the National Park Services, as part of also the MPOX work that we're doing. So we already have wildlife as a priority, and we're training people on that side. Emerging and re-emerging diseases, that is why I said we're the National Zoonosis Center. So whatever is emerging or re-emerging zoonosis, we also handling, and we have been working very well with NCDC and other partners to look at those areas. But coming back to NITA, we have only heard in the news that they will be subsumed by NVRI. So as you know, as public servants, we can only take the directions when we get official communication. So we're waiting for that, but we know what needs to be done. You can very quickly merge them because they're talking about disease, trips, and mainly and onchocerciasis. So if you separate those, even if you just on a cursory look, you just see that they fit into One Health, and so it shouldn't be a difficult transition to merge the two institutions. But for now, we can't say much until we get official communication.
Okay. Another question I want to ask you: do you still produce live rabies vaccine, knowing fully well the public health?
Yes, we do.
The public health implications.
We produce the anti-rabies vaccine. In fact, under the
I'm talking about I'm talking about live anti-rabies vaccine.
No.
You don't produce live again?
Because, no.
Okay, good. Okay, that's okay. Now we have an institution that registers and regulates veterinary products, which we all know, NAFDAC. Do you have any collaboration with them? Because when we are building up the VMAP, because I was NVMA president when we were building up, part of the memos we wrote, part of the points we raised is that NVRI should partner with NAFDAC as regards the regulation and registration of veterinary products. And what we're seeing now is a situation whereby you register veterinary drug today, maybe give them sample, they're analyzed, tomorrow they're importing and putting the substandard ones, and it's creating a lot of AMR in the field, which we all know. Are you collaborating? Are you part of it?
Yes, we are collaborating, but it's on the vaccine side, as you will understand. On the vaccine side, we are the vaccine producer. We have laboratories that can test vaccines and see whether they are of quality or not. We are not able to do the drug one because we are not registered to do that, even though I know we have some capability to be able to test a drug and to say whether it is of quality or not. So it's around mandates. It's around what you are legally established to do. But with vaccines, we are collaborating with them, and Professor Moji has been a good partner, and she has been open to us making suggestions, particularly around harmonizing all of the requirements for importing vaccine and for testing them, and for saying whether they have the serotypes that would work in Nigeria or not. I'm hoping that we will continue to have that collaboration moving forward, particularly on the vaccine side, so that we don't have substandard vaccines being imported into the country.
Well, AMR is antimicrobial resistance. It's a hot, it's a hot topic, and it's a hot topic now. And I think our country is vulnerable. Honestly, I'll come from the research.
Very much.
Yes, it's vulnerable.
Very much.
And
particularly in poultry, Charles. So particularly in poultry, we have a lot of work to do because of the way that drugs are being handled in poultry and in large cattle. We now go to the field and we find you go to a Fulani herd and you find what we have found is that before they call us, they would have used a lot of drugs. The only way that you can find out is to look around and you will see empty bottles of drugs that have been used and discarded very carelessly. You find children playing with the packs or putting water inside a plastic gallon of some drug that has already been used. So there is quite a lot of work to be done in AMR in Nigeria. And I think it is something that should not be left to one agency alone. It has to be something that is under the One Health approach, looking at it from the animal, human, and environment interface. There is quite a bit of work that needs to be done, but there's also a need for coordination for us as veterinarians to take a lead, because what is going on in the field, particularly in commercial poultry and now in cattle production, is a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, because why I really bring about this collaboration and on drugs that they're now in NAFDAC, because we challenged them. There was a time they were registering all manner of products. So all those products that ended up with cereal, when they bring a lot of antibacterial together, if this one doesn't work, this one will work. For quacks to use. They were registering and we were shouting. We shouted the hell. I remember how many letters I wrote to NAFDAC. Okay, when they looked at it and viewed it, they said, okay, no more product that will have more than two antibacterial. And we challenged them. I remember with Moji was there. I challenged her. Yeah, you're right. But you're wrong in an aspect. We have triple sulfur. We have some drug, 3 or 4, might be very effective. You don't just put a blanket reprisal. You see, most of the things is that most of these institutions are not well advised. When you say you don't put more than 2 antibacterial, that means triple sulfur. We know that they have a very top class synergistic effect. You will not use them just because we shouted on this. You see, they will just move from one wrong deed to another wrong deed, trying to correct the situation. So you need an acute, what I may call an acute collaboration. Anyway, we are building as a country. I think we are coming to the last point of this conversation, and the conversation has been very healthy, very hearty. Let me say, I didn't expect less. And then I will thank our women. You can see I handed women over to you today and decided to dodge. On today we are having meeting behind the scene. Let me tell you the secret so that they can bring me in. I was sending questions to them, but they said I should come on board. Anyway, be it as it may, thank you for being part of us. If there's any advice you can give to your fellow gender, the younger ones, please just use it and then we'll round up. The young veterinarians, especially the female ones. Yes.
Good. Thank you for rephrasing it, because I would like to speak to young veterinarians generally, whether they are men or women, and to start by saying that this is a noble profession. But we have to look at other areas that not all young professionals will be able to get a job in government. But that is not to say that their skills are not required in other areas. We're just finished talking about AMR, and I think there's a lot of potentials there that a young veterinarian can start his own practice. Now, I know the difficulty around even just getting a small amount of money to take off. Our country is not very friendly to looking at people who do not have antecedents behind them. However, I think that no veterinarian, young or old, should sit down at home and twiddle their thumbs. There are a lot of opportunities, and when you see a unique opportunity, please approach those that are old in the profession, approach agencies and say, I can do this for you. Would you pay me a fee? And I'm sure, for example, in NVRI, we would be open to have young veterinarians that we can put on some of the projects that they will do for us. You pay them off, and then if there's another project, you bring them on. That way you continue to build your skills. As veterinarians, we have I do not think that we have any business sitting at home. There's quite a lot of work to do, but we have to be inventive. We have to be resourceful, and we need to take advantage of the internet and of AI to generate some of the answers and to solve the problems.
Yeah.
But particularly for colleagues, women, I would like to encourage you.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes, they used to tell us that it is the veterinary profession was a man's world. It no longer is. Like I said earlier, I went to, I think it was the University of Abuja I went to, and about 70% of the graduates for the last graduates were women. And I was very, very happy and excited about that. And there are quite a lot of areas where we can work. Let us combine our God-given talents as wives, mothers, sisters, and also as veterinarians to move our country forward. My encouragement is that wherever we are planted, we should bloom.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me break the protocol. We have two personalities here, Dr. Nasir and Chika Ikog. Maybe they just pass just 1 minute each. Dr. Ikog, I unmute you. Just you can put your add your voice to what we're discussing right now, and then Nasir, former president of the Commonwealth Veterinary Association. So
good
please.
Morning.
Morning. Okay.
Good morning, my great colleagues. I joined a bit late, but
we need to see your face. We need to see your face.
You want to see my face?
Yes.
You want to see my face? Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah, continue. Where time is not on our side. Okay.
Okay. Good morning, colleagues. This is Chika Ikogo.
Okay.
From University of Anambra Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Okka. I want to appreciate Bluebirds BBC for this speak out this morning. I had a call from my dean, so I joined late after the call. And I want to thank God for this opening. I can't wait to meet Madam in Jos, because I have a lot of things to talk over with her. As a female veterinarian, also climbing the ladder of leadership in the Nigerian veterinary system. So I'm waiting for the NVRI in Anambra State. That has been our heart cry. We lose a lot of cases. UNN is so far away from us to take our cases for diagnostics and others. So NVMA Anambra State is going to do everything possible to have NVRI location in Anambra State. That's a promise I'm making to this unique body this morning, and a promise I'm also making to myself as a veterinarian from Anambra State. I was born here, I've lived here all my life, and I'm going to make the veterinary profession a great one in Anambra State. Meanwhile, my only son is a veterinarian, currently running his PhD in Cornell University, New York. So we are a veterinary family, and we are going to contribute all that we can do to put this profession on ground and make it practical around us in this 21st century. Thank you.
Chika,
yes, sir.
You are a vet all around, but you refuse to say you didn't marry a vet. You married a medical.
It's the same thing.
Dr. Mrs. Muhammed married a vet. So she's more all-rounder than you. I don't know whether the
Does she have a vet as a child?
Okay. Dr. Nasir, please.
Yeah, good morning.
I told them you married your lecturer.
Forget about that one.
Okay, sorry.
You will not forget that one.
How can I? How can somebody who was taking you on ambulatory ended up being your wife?
For how many months?
Even if for half second.
Anyway, let me say very good morning to those on the call and to our very amiable sister and executive director of NVRI. Like you said, we did not expect anything less from her. It's has always been a delight listening to her, more or less to complement a Saturday morning like this. So I'm happy about all the exploits of NVRI, and let me say very good congratulations to NVRI on the attainment of 100 years of being in existence. We are all looking forward to coming to Jos in October, where we know that it's going to be a blast. So I'm happy, but I'm particularly happy about the fact that Dr. Ibe mentioned the issue of parvoviral enteritis, because that is my own forte. And I can say that we are not very happy with the situation. We don't know whether the strains that are being protected by the foreign vaccines are actually the indigenous strains, although they say there's a lot of cross protection among strains in the parvoviral, either 2A, 2B, or 2C, or whatever. But it would be something gratifying to know that NVRI will come into that space and will do so much. Maybe in the next 5-10 years, we might just be having indigenous parvoviral, maybe the entire DHLP plus B spectrum of vaccines coming from NVRI. And I must say something very particularly that is gladdening to note is that the anti-rabies vaccines of NVRI is what I'm presently using. That's never happened in my 20 years of individual practice. I remember that we use it when we're in UI, yes, and then that was what we're using then. But now, currently in my hospital in Lagos, I'm using NVRI, and that is a plus for me and a plus for everybody. And a lot of us in Lagos are actually using NVRI, although perhaps it's part of the anti-rabies campaign that the Lagos state government is doing, and we are particularly asked not to charge. So we only collect our service fee and all that. So that's a plus. So going forward, ma'am, thank you for steering the ship of NVRI in the right direction. And we hope that this will continue to even better placements in the veterinary community. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Nasir. I think way forward, you have Savan, which is, I think, the best organized sector among all the areas of veterinary medicine clinics in this country. Savan is, I think, is the best. And being that is the best, you should have partner with NVRI. Because you see, they stay in those institutions. There are some informations they need from the field. And that's why we have been hammering. Partner with the people in the field. And you are a compact forum of people in the field. You need to give them advice or give them way forward on how best. And I thank God that this issue of rabies came up here. I don't know whether we were here when it came up. And you are using their rabies. You go beyond using their rabies. Using their rabies by partnering with them, having a meeting with them, having a chat with them, Savan and NVRI, on what to do on this parvo scourge. It will go a long way. And Dr. Mrs. Muhammed, thank you very much. Next time we are bringing you, maybe in the next 2 years or 1 year, you are going to talk much on biotechnology. Want to see biotechnology vaccines coming out from your lab. I think on this note, those of you who are here, we are now having a Bluebird TV in the. I've sent the site. We need to further our algorithm for people to watch us and watch what we are doing, and be it as it may, just get to our site and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much, Dr. Mrs. Muhammed. Please, regards to my Oga. Oh.
Thank you. I just wanted to say something about what Tunji said. We would like to have a meeting with Savan in October when they come in, so that we can move this parvovirus request forward. If we can map out something, our lab in Lagos can lead to help collect some of the samples, and so that we can set up a team to work around it along with rabies. And also, thank you very much for endorsing the rabies vaccine. We have been getting, we sent samples to PAMVAC, and our vaccines have been passing. And Lagos State just exported two, I don't know if it's Lagos State or Oyo State, sent out 2 dogs to the UK with the anti-rabies certificate. It was tested and it was working. They allowed the dogs in without a problem. We sent them all the documentation behind it, and it was accepted. And these are the kinds of stories that we like to hear, so that it encourages us to continue to produce quality vaccines. So thank you for allowing me to come and
thank Speak Out. Thanks Speak Out for copiously bringing this out in the last meeting.
Thank you to Speak Out.
Yes, because in the last meeting we really charged you so that your vaccine will not be a public health menace. And today it's not a public health menace. I will use it too. Now that I know that it's not a live vaccine. Because if it's live vaccine, they'll test it abroad. They'll destroy the dog. Like you said. That test they did was to check whether live and rabies vaccine is in their body system. If they test it that they have live vaccines, live rabies vaccine, because they want to curtail this scourge. They don't want to bring it in. It's like you're introducing it. You know, the global warming and 1 or 2 side effects in the world now can convert that no pathogenic level you've moved it down to the pathogenic level, reversal of pathogenicity. But that's okay. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad NVRI is thinking straight, and I want to see NITA under NVRI. Maybe next time you are coming on board in the next 1 or 2 years. Thank you very much. And for those of you who are with us here from the start to the end, Olajumoke Nebili, an Igbo wife, thank you very much. Yes,
thank you very much.
You know we love you very well. And we will give you contract to bring more wives to Igbo land from Yoruba. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much.
Because I know you are happy. You are happy in our midst. I've never seen you sad since you married Igbo. So thank you. Thank you very much. And for those of us who are here, thank you. And God bless you. Bye-bye. Remember to go to our channel, YouTube channel. Bye-bye. And God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Madam.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you,
ma.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you, ma.
Very, very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Akreka Ochendo. Thank you, sir.
Akreka Ochendo.
that is
Akreka speak out.
Thank you, sir.
That is me. That is me. Thank you. Yeah, everybody is on his own. No? Wonderful session. Wonderful session. I'm not God. I'm not